The loud cry reverberated within the building, causing the noisy atmosphere to immediately quiet down. These two people were quite well known. One was the third commander of the Goo Clan's Black Submerged Army, while the other was the pill-gathering champion. The both of them were outstanding people within the younger generation. Could the observers be lucky enough to watch them spar here today? Excitement surged in quite a number of people's eyes when they thought of this. Their gazes swept around them in an attempt to find the two of them. What happened? The little fairy doctors group was also startled because of this sudden, unexpected change. They saw Xiao Yan's gloomy expression and immediately understood something. They frowned and said, "It is unexpected that trouble has come knocking on the door after having just talked about it. This is really a little too underhanded." With their intelligence, they naturally understood that the other party was afraid of Xiao Yan backing away, explaining why he had publicly acted before seeking permission. If Xiao Yan were to lose this match, it was likely that it would become an excuse for the Goo Clan to strike against Xiao Yan. Even Sun Er would be implicated by this. Who? Xiao Yan's expression was gloomy. He slowly exhaled a breath of air and gradually placed his teacup down. He softly said, "It's just as well. I do not like this kind of continuous trouble. It will not be bad if I kill a chicken to warn those monkeys before entering the Goo Clan. Since he willingly wishes to become this chicken, I shall accept his offer." Xiao Yan suddenly turned his head after uttering these words. His icy gaze shot to the green-clothed man on the upper floor. "Ha ha! His senses are quite sharp." That green-clothed man laughed when he saw Xiao Yan looking over. His expression did not reveal the slightest fear. His strength was at the peak of the 5-star Dozun class. Although Xiao Yan was also a 5-star Dozun, this green-clothed young man had seldom been defeated when fighting an opponent of the same level. "Young Hao, you should not act recklessly. If the elders become aware of this," the fifth commander by the side frowned as he spoke. "We are only sparing. Our Goo Clan has always been more inclined to fight. Isn't it good to find friends through sparing?" Yang Hao laughed faintly and continued, "Relax, I will not allow him to lose in an ugly way. Of course, this is only if he is tactful." After his words softly sounded, Yang Hao's body flashed, and he appeared on the stone stage before the fifth commander could say anything more. He smiled as he looked in the direction of Xiao Yan. He laughed and said, "Mr. Xiao Yan, I have long heard of your great name. May I know if I can seek some lessons from you today?" Swoosh! All the gazes in the building suddenly turned at this moment. They gathered on the skinny figure beside a window. He is that Xiao Yan? The pill-gathering champion? He looks quite young. It is unexpected that he has reached the level of a Tier 8 alchemist at such an age. It is really difficult to believe. It is rumored that his teacher is Yao Chun, Yao Zunjia from back then. However, the current Yao Chun has already advanced to a Bansheng. His strength is so great that it is frightening. No wonder. Yao Chun has sharp eyes. This current disciple is many times stronger than Han Feng from back then. Xiao Yan's expression was calm as he heard the private conversations around him. He turned his head and threw his eyes at the young green-clothed man on the stage with a dark smile on his face. He slowly stood up and said, "Since Third Commander insists on this, I shall not reject your offer." Yang Hao's brows were lifted slightly when he saw that Xiao Yan did not find an excuse to reject him. However, the smile on his face became denser. He did an after-you gesture. However, no one saw the dense chill flashing through his eyes when he bowed to Xiao Yan. "Be careful." The little fairy doctors group did not stop him. They were confident in Xiao Yan's strength. That Yang Hao's strength might be at the peak of a 5-star Dozun, but this kind of strength did not pose any fatal threat to the current Xiao Yan. Xiao Yan nodded. He strode forward, and the space in front of him became distorted. The next moment, he appeared a short distance away from Yang Hao. "You are indeed worthy of being the champion of a pill gathering. This courage is really admirable." Yang Hao grinned as he looked at Xiao Yin and complimented him. Xiao Yin was calm as he glanced at the superficial smile on Yang Hao's face. His voice tranquil, to the extent of lacking emotion. After you. All right. Yang Hao loudly laughed. He suddenly took a step forward. A vast and mighty dou qi immediately surged in all directions. The powerful dou qi pressure caused the expressions of quite a number of people within the building to change. Today, this commander shall personally test and see just how outstanding this pill-gathering champion is. Yang Hao loudly laughed as his dou qi surged. His long hand was suddenly clenched, and a sharp wind was formed within his palm. His foot stomped on the ground, and his body appeared in front of Xiao Yin with lightning-like speed. A sharp claw wind violently rushed toward Xiao Yin like a dragnet. The sharp force tore through space, forming numerous dark black scars. Xiao Yin stepped back when faced with Yang Hao's ferocious attack. He began to use a mysterious footwork within a 3-step radius and dodged Yang Hao's dense claw wind. What a fast speed! However, come and try my dragon snake footwork. Yang Hao was startled when he saw Xiao Yin completely dodge his attack. He immediately let out a cold cry. He took a step forward. With the step of a dragon and tiger, his body became ghost-like and a dragon snake illusory figure vaguely appeared behind him. The Goo Clan did not lack high-class dou skills. Moreover, being the third commander, the dou skills that Yang Hao had learned were definitely not ordinary. This dragon snake footwork alone was not inferior to Xiao Yan's 3,000 lightning movement. Sky Evil Chi Shattering Claw. Yang Hao's speed suddenly increased after using this dragon snake footwork. His claw wind suddenly changed as a fierce evil aura quickly gathered on his palm. The space where his palm passed cracked apart, and a deafening buzzing sound spread in a sharp manner. The Goo Clan is indeed a large clan. These high-class dou skills that are difficult to see in the outside world are being used as he pleases. Xiao Yan's eyes narrowed when he sensed that Yang Hao's speed and attack had suddenly become sharper. By possessing so many high-class dou skills to protect himself with, it was little wonder that this fellow was not worried about defeating Xiao Yin, who was also a 5-star dou zun. However, he had miscalculated. In front of Xiao Yin, who possessed an unusually powerful spiritual strength, any ghost-like agility techniques could not escape his eyes. Bam bam! Xiao Yin waved his sleeve and would accurately strike Yang Hao's claw wind just when it was about to reach its target. This moment was coincidentally the moment when the claw wind was going from weak to strong. However, one would be unable to take advantage of such an opening without a perfect observation ability. Bang bang! Yang Hao's expression gained a solemnness each time they exchanged blows. After over a dozen sharp exchanges, his expression had been replaced by a grave one. Although he had used 2 types of D-class middle-level dou skills, he was unable to harm Xiao Yin. Xiao Yan's movements of leisure caused him to feel that he was losing face. I do not believe that a poor brat like you can compete with this commander in terms of the amount and quality of skills that you possess. Yang Hao's expression was dark and cold. His feet suddenly pulled back. At the same time, his hands started to form numerous seals that Xiao Yin was unusually familiar with. God seal skill, huh? Xiao Yin narrowed his eyes when he saw the seals. His body flashed and strangely appeared in front of Yang Hao. He flicked his finger and a gentle breeze shot out, striking Yang Hao's wrist with lightning-like speed. This breeze might not be strong, but it interrupted the completion of the God Seal skill, causing the blood within Yang Hao's body to churn. This brat. Why is he aware of the flaws of the God Seal skill? Yang Hao's expression changed when Xiao Yin randomly broke the seal that he had been forming. Before he could think, a hot wind blew over, and he had to hurriedly receive it. Bang! The hot wind spread across the stone stage. Everyone was stunned to see Yang Hao stagger a couple of steps back because of Xiao Yan's punch. Yang Hao was in a situation where Xiao Yin had completely overwhelmed him. The originally dark and cold face of Ling Quan on the upper floor had become a little ugly. He vaguely began to feel an unease growing. Yang Hao is no match for him. The fifth commander also displayed a serious expression. Xiao Yin appeared unruffled even in the face of Yang Hao's skills, causing him to involuntarily feel a little slump in his heart. This fellow was indeed not a mediocre person by being able to catch the eye of young Miss. Bastard! Yang Hao's face became flushed red after being forced back by Xiao Yan's palm. Clearly, he did not understand why he was unable to defeat Xiao Yin with his strength at the peak of the 5-star Do Zun class. Moreover, he had even used many powerful Do skills. On the other hand, Xiao Yin had yet to use one Do skill even until now. Overturning Land Seal. A ferociousness vaguely surfaced on Yang Hao's face. He unleashed his dragon snake footwork to its limit. A dragon snake illusory figure appeared on the stone stage, while the seal on his hand was swiftly formed. A vast and mighty Do Chi quickly gathered. Xiao Yin stood on the stage with his hands behind him. His eyes were calm as he watched the blurry figure that was swiftly shuffling around before slowly shutting his eyes. Successful formation. The ferocious on Yang Hao's face became even more intense when he saw what Xiao Yin was doing. His hand seals suddenly paused. A cold expression surfaced from within his eyes. However, a chill covered his heart when the seal in his hand was about to launch toward Xiao Yin. Bang! The moment the chill appeared, the stone stage under his feet suddenly cracked apart. A hot magma pillar bared its claws and rushed out like a fire dragon. It smashed into Yang Hao's legs. Grug. The attack that was unleashed from underground had exceeded everyone's expectations. Being the main actor, Yang Hao spat out a mouthful of fresh blood, and his body was struck by the fire pillar until he flew. Finally, he smashed into a large stone pillar of the building. The stone pillar was immediately blasted apart. The entire place was completely silent as everyone watched this battle end in an instant. Numerous stunned eyes looked at the skinny young man with his hands behind him. His body had not even shifted. A moment later, a thunder-like applause resonated through the entire building in a deafening manner. Xiao Yan's expression remained tranquil. He studied the charred black Yang Hao before cupping his hands together. He smiled and said, "Thank you for going easy, Third Commander." Grug. Yang Hao, who had just landed on the ground, involuntarily spat out another mouthful of fresh blood. He had never expected to be miserably defeated by Xiao Yan's hands with his peak of a 5-star Do Zun strength. He has actually lost. Ling Quan and the fifth commander visibly expressed their startled eyes as they looked at Yang Hao struggling with some stone fragments. They exchanged looks with one another and saw a horror that could not be hidden from each other's eyes. This brat, how did he become so strong? Ling Quan clenched his fist. His heart was filled with disbelief. Although he was aware that Xiao Yin had already surpassed him, he did not expect Xiao Yin to be able to defeat Yang Hao, whose strength was at the peak of the 5th star, in such an easy fashion. Being someone from the same clan, Ling Quan was well aware of Yang Hao's strength. Yang Hao possessed quite a number of powerful Do skills. He had even mastered the God Seal skill to the overturning Land Seal. With this strength, he would be hard-pressed to find any opponent who could match him from the same level. However, from the looks of that battle earlier, Yang Hao was completely suppressed by Xiao Yin until he was at a disadvantage. His ferocious attacks did not even harm Xiao Yin. Clearly, Xiao Yan's fighting strength had far surpassed his level on the surface. Ugh, there really is a reason he caught the young Miss's eyes. His strength is likely similar to Big Brother. The fifth commander softly sighed. Ling Quan's expression became even more gloomy when he heard these words. Cough. Yang Hao, who was buried under the rock fragments of the building, struggled to climb out. Most of his clothes were in tatters. At a glance, he was charred black. Fresh blood continued to seep from the corner of his mouth while he coughed. Yang Hao's hair scattered down from his head. His appearance was just like a mad demon. A pair of savage blood-red eyes glared at Xiao Yin. He had basically suffered a complete lose during this match. No matter how he thought about it, he could not understand how he had ended up being defeated in such a miserable manner by Xiao Yin, especially since he was at the peak of the 5th star of the Do Zun strength and possessed many high-class Do skills. Bastard thing, I refuse to accept this. Fury and embarrassment swelled within his heart. He was defeated in such a miserable manner in public. If word of this were to spread back to the Goo realm, there was no telling just how much ridicule he would suffer. Immediately, Yang Hao became hot-headed. He let out a furious roar as his foot stomped on the ground. Enduring the intense pain that was being transmitted from all over his body, he turned into lightning that once again shot toward Xiao Yin on the stage. Quite a number of people frowned when they saw Yang Hao, who appeared to have suddenly lost his sense of reasoning. This fellow appeared to be without any grace. Bang! Xiao Yan's eyes were indifferent as he watched Yang Hao rush over. His foot suddenly stomped in front of him, and his ghost-like body appeared in front of Yang Hao. Xiao Yan's arm shook and a wave of sharp wind surged from nowhere, smashing into Yang Hao's chest in a lightning-like fashion. Woo! After suffering another heavy blow, Yang Hao once again spat out a mouthful of fresh blood. His body flew backwards and shattered a couple of tables and chairs into dust. TSK, this Yang Hao is really a fool. A person laughed softly from somewhere within the building when Yang Hao pounced at Xiao Yin like a madman. This spot was an isolated area. It was much quieter compared to the other places. There were 4 figures seated beside the table, consisting of 3 men and 1 woman. A burning flame mark was imprinted on the foreheads of these 4 individuals. At a glance, they appeared just like real flames, causing one to feel hot. The voice from earlier was emitted from the mouth of a somewhat gentle-looking man among the 4 of them. Although this Xiao Yin is only a 5-star Do Zun, his doqi is naturally far from what an ordinary person can compare with since he is in possession of a heavenly flame. It is only natural for Yang Hao to be defeated by his hands. A middle-aged man with rough eyebrows on the opposite side faintly commented on the matter. He still possesses an extremely powerful soul. Under his spiritual perception, ghost agility techniques are completely useless. That Yang Hao is too arrogant. The last man was wearing a white robe. His appearance was quite handsome. The corner of his mouth contained a slight smile which gave one a warm feeling. This man's eyes landed on the lady beside him after his words sounded. This lady was wearing a pale red dress. A veil covered her face, but the outline that was revealed through the veil was still extremely alluring. Her bright eyes did not contain the slightest ripple. She also did not respond to the conversation between the 3. It was as though everything had difficulty arousing her interest. Huaji, can you not treat us as though we are non-existent? That white-clothed man involuntarily shook his head and spoke when he saw this manner of hers. I am interested in his heavenly flame. That red-clothed lady finally raised her head a little after hearing his words. She glanced at Xiao Yin on the stage. Her voice was cold and enchanting. Cough. The white-clothed trio of men helplessly rolled their eyes when they heard what she said. They were just about to speak when the red-clothed lady suddenly said, "It is quite lively today. Looks like the members of the Goo Clan don't really welcome Xiao Yin." The blood-covered Yang Hao stared ferociously at Xiao Yin. His breathing was just like that of a bull. It was a long while later before he charged forward in a crazy manner. However, an ice-cold cry suddenly resounded within the wine shop. Yang Hao. Yang Hao's entire body suddenly trembled when he heard this cry. He actually recovered. His body stood on the spot as he clenched his hands. You have completely embarrassed the Goo Clan. A figure slowly appeared in front of Yang Hao after he stopped moving. The ice-cold voice caused fear to flash across Yang Hao's eyes. Second brother. Ling Quan's duo were startled when they saw that figure. Joy immediately surged in the former's eyes. Their bodies rushed forward and appeared beside that figure before respectfully addressing him. Humph! That figure glanced at the two of them. A cold cry sounded before his eyes suddenly shifted away. He stared at the skinny figure on the stage and asked in a deep voice, "Xiao Yin, do you enjoy beating others?" Xiao Yin looked down at the figure from his vantage point. The figure was wearing pale silver armor. Silver light flowed over his body as a mighty aura spread apart. Quite a number of people were giving it a sidelong glance. "It is just sparring." Xiao Yin glanced at the silver-armored man. The way Ling Quan addressed this person made it obvious that this figure should be that so-called second commander. This person should be a 6-star Dozun. The eyes of the silver-armored man narrowed upon hearing this. His body moved, and he appeared on the stone stage before speaking faintly. "Black Submerged Army Second Commander, Lin Xiao. Since you like to spar this much, this commander shall come and give it a try. What do you think? If this is a tactic to take turns fighting me, it seems that you are lacking in numbers." Xiao Yin laughed. "There is no need for us to fight you one after another in order to deal with you," Lin Xiao coldly laughed. Today, Yang Hao was publicly beaten by Xiao Yin until he was miserable. If he did not step forward, it was likely that others would think that the Black Submerged Army was only this mediocre. "What do you say? Xiao Yin, do you dare to receive another challenge? If second commander insists, then please begin." Xiao Yin merely knit his brows before relaxing. Lin Xiao was trying to corner him. It seemed that the young geniuses of the Goo Clan had developed a deep grudge against him. As the saying went, a serious illness required strong medicine. Since this was the case, he would use some strong medicine. Quite a number of people in the building shot their eyes over when they saw the tense, swords-drawn atmosphere on the stage. At this moment, everyone could tell that these young geniuses of the Goo Clan seemed to possess a hidden grudge against Xiao Yin. "Lin Xiao, all of you are making a farce." However, just when everyone thought that a battle was about to erupt, a furious elder's voice suddenly resounded. A gray-clothed figure appeared on the stone stage in a lightning-like manner and reprimanded Lin Xiao. "Elder Gusun." Lin Xiao was startled when he saw this gray-clothed elder suddenly appearing. He cupped his hands and respectfully said, "What nonsense! As hosts, all of you are making things difficult for a guest of the Goo Clan in public. Just how does this look? Aren't all of you withdrawing?" The old man called Gusun glared at this group as he furiously scolded them. Lin Xiao did not dare to argue after being chided by Gusun. He understood that he could not recoup their lost face today since this old man appeared. All he could do was helplessly shake his head. His cold eyes slid to Xiao Yin while his mouth slightly moved. A weak voice was quietly transmitted into Xiao Yan's ears. "Xiao Yin, consider yourself lucky this time around. If you were sensible, you would leave the Goo Clan as soon as possible. Otherwise, entering the Goo Clan will only cause you to seek your own humiliation." Xiao Yan's expression remained calm when he heard the voice beside his ear. A faint but cold smile appeared within his dark black eyes. Lin Xiao did not dare to stay any longer after his voice sounded. He rushed down from the stage, grabbed Yang Hao, who was unable to even move, and strode out of the building. Gu Sun turned his head after watching Lin Xiao walk into the distance. His eyes were somewhat complicated as he looked at Xiao Yin. He softly said, "A member of the Xiao clan has once again come to the Goo Clan. Young people tend to be impulsive. Due to the matter of young miss, you will probably meet many troubles in the future. Hopefully, you are prepared to meet them." Xiao Yin cupped his hands to Gu Sun, but he did not say anything. Gu Sun studied Xiao Yin in depth, after which He turned around and stepped down from the stage before walking away from the building. Quite a number of people felt that they had not seen their fill when they watched the build-up of a fierce battle end in such an abrupt manner. However, there was nothing they could do. They could only withdraw their eyes and softly discuss that intense battle earlier. Numerous eyes continuously swept toward Xiao. Xiao was unconcerned about these gazes. He leaped down from the stone stage and was just about to return to his seat when he abruptly discovered the heavenly flame in his body leaping at this moment. His eyes followed the slight feeling. They finally paused on that somewhat quiet corner. There was a red-clothed lady wearing a veil. Both of her eyes were calmly observing him. There was a lifelike flame symbol between her eyebrows that was quietly blooming. Heavenly flame? A thought passed through Xiao mind as he looked at the fire symbol between the red-clothed lady's brows. The mysterious clans that Yao Lao had mentioned appeared within his heart. She is a member of the Yin clan, huh? The two pair of eyes interacted with each other. There was a flame flowing within each of their eyes. It appeared as though the space between the two of them had gradually become hot. Puff! The four eyes faced each other. A moment later, a cluster of flames suddenly materialized out of nowhere between the two individuals. The ripple from the flame incinerated some nearby tables and chairs into ashes. Xiao body trembled when the flame burst apart. A solemn expression flashed across his face. The heavenly flame within the body of this red-dressed woman was likely extraordinary. What happened? The little fairy doctor quickly arrived by Xiao side. Her eyes followed his gaze and paused on the group of unfamiliar people before softly asking. Nothing. Xiao shook his head. He gave the red-dressed lady a deep look. Although he greatly coveted heavenly flames, he was not a fool. This woman was someone from the Yin clan Yao Lao had mentioned. Although Xiao felt extremely unfamiliar with this clan, a faction that could be ranked alongside the Goo Clan and the Hun Clan likely possessed a powerful strength. He would not offend them because of a heavenly flame. Let's go. There were many pairs of eyes within the wine shop. Xiao did not wish to remain for long. Hence, he turned around and walked out of the building. The little fairy doctor and the rest hesitated for a moment before closely following him. Huaji, how is it? The white-robed man smiled and asked when he saw the backs of Xiao group leaving. A very strong heavenly flame, the red-robed lady called Huaji softly replied. A faint ripple rose within her quiet lake-like eyes. If I have the chance, I would really like to exchange blows with him. I want to see whether this red lotus-y flame, which is ranked 7th on the heavenly flame ranking, or his heavenly flame is stronger. You are only interested in these things. The white-robed man helplessly shook his head and said, This Xiao should be a member of the Xiao clan. It is unexpected that the clan, whose bloodline has become waste, is actually able to produce such a person. It is really unbelievable. The Xiao clan had the closest relationship with the Goo Clan back then, but that was when they were strong. The friendship between the clans will forever be built on the foundation of having similar strength. If there was an opposition from some of the elders within the Goo Clan, the tomb of Xiao Xin would have been forcefully opened by them. That gentle-looking man grinned and said, The tomb of a peak expert is something that even the Goo Clan cannot resist. Those are merely some radicals. There is no need to place everyone in the same category. The white-robed man shook his head. He stretched his lazy waist and laughed. I am still most interested in the heavenly tomb that is opened once every 20 years. Although the heavenly tomb is within the Goo realm, the members of the 8 clans are qualified to enter it according to the agreement from back then. The tomb of Xiao Xin is also inside. I wonder if there will be anyone who will truly be able to barge in there. I wonder if the members of the other clans have arrived. Normally, they will not miss such a big event. That rough-eyebrowed man nodded and spoke. Who cares about them? If they do not come, we will have fewer competitors. Let's leave. The white-clothed man curled his lips, after which he stood up and walked out of the building. The few people behind him followed at a steady pace. It looks like the situation is even more troublesome than what I have heard. Most of these 8 great commanders hold a grudge with you. Today, if the elder from the Goo Clan had not appeared, it is likely that Xiao would have attacked you. The little fairy doctor frowned and spoke on their way back to their house. It is only natural for there to be trouble. If everything proceeded smoothly within this Goo Clan, I would feel troubled. Xiao laughed. He was unconcerned about those 8 great commanders. That Xiao might be a 6-star Dozun, but he still did not pose a threat from Xiaoyan's point of view. The only person among these 8 great commanders whom Xiaoyan felt a little worried about was the first commander, who had yet to show himself. The ones I am worried about aren't these 8 great commanders. Instead, I am worried about the 4 great generals. They are the most talented people among the younger generation of the Goo Clan. According to their potential, they are also the ones with the greatest possibility to become the Black Submerged King. You should be aware that the lowest requirement for each Black Submerged King is to reach the Ban Shang class. The little fairy doctor spewed more information with a solemn voice.
Ban Shang? Who?
Xiaoyan momentarily stopped walking. His dark black eyes were filled with a graveness. The so-called 4 great generals were the true troublesome individuals. Facing these monster-like people really caused Xiaoyan to feel some pressure. If it's a blessing, it's not trouble. If it's trouble, there is no escaping it. It is pointless to say all this now. If trouble wishes to find us, there will be nothing we can do. Regardless of whether it is for the reputation of the Falling Star Pavilion or my Xiao clan, there are some things that are unavoidable. Xiaoyan shook his head. The 4 great generals might indeed be troublesome, but they weren't enough to cause Xiaoyan to step back because of the difficulty. There was nothing that he had not seen during these years. There were really not many people among the same generation that could get him to withdraw without fighting. Even the true geniuses from the Goo Clan would not be able to force him to back down. The fist under Xiaoyan's sleeve suddenly tightened when this thought flashed across his heart. It was at this moment that he suddenly paused. It was as though he had sensed someone arriving. He abruptly lifted his head, and his gaze landed on the end of a small path in the forest. 3 figures in black robes were randomly standing there. A dangerous feeling quietly spread from them. The little fairy doctor and the rest also sensed something when Xiaoyan discovered the 3. The dou qi within their bodies began to circulate. You are that Xiaoyan from the Xiao clan, right? The leader of the 3 black-robed individuals shook his black robe slightly, and a somewhat shady laugh was slowly emitted. The laughter did not sound old. Clearly, its owner was not some old demon. Who are you? Xiaoyan knit his brows and asked. Ha! I thought that you would have deep memories of us. The black-robed leader laughed when he heard Xiaoyan's question. Xiaoyan's expression sank when he heard this response. His eyes carefully swept over the 3 of them. A familiar feeling surged into his heart, causing his expression to become dense. People from the Hall of Souls? Compared to this name, I would prefer to hear you call us the Hun Clan, the black-robed man laughed. However, his laughter contained a sinister intent that could not be hidden. Xiaoyan's expression was ice-cold. He started at these 3 people in a dense manner. Dou qi swiftly circulated within his body. It was unexpected that he would meet people from the Hall of Souls here. There is no need to act like this. The task of capturing you should not be done by me. Therefore, I also do not have any intention of intervening. I have only come here because I wish to see how far the Xiao clan, which had firmly suppressed my Hun clan, has fallen. The black-robed man grinned. You can get lost after seeing what you want. The little fairy doctor coldly laughed. She clenched her hand, and a vast and mighty dou qi agglomerated into a dou qi whip in her hand. Her hand was ruthlessly swung. The long whip penetrated through air and explosively shot toward the black-robed person. Presumptuous! The other two figures coldly cried out when they saw the little fairy doctor attack. They shook their sleeves and a clear crashing sound appeared. Two dark black chains rushed out like poisonous snakes. They ruthlessly collided with the long dochi whip. Bang! A frightening wind was created when they collided. The surrounding trees were immediately turned into dust. The reason I have come is not to attack you. All I wish to do is give you advice. Opposing my Hun Clan will not lead to a good end. The black-robed leader merely smiled when the blows of both parties were exchanged. He raised his head a little. A pale, skinny young face was revealed under the black doping. At this moment, the face that was revealed contained a dense smirk. Relax, sooner or later, you will swallow these words of yours. Xiao calmly replied. Cuckoo, I really hope for that day. However, I think that your final fate will not be much different from Xiao. The black-robed man softly laughed. His body slowly became illusory with this laugh. A moment later, it completely disappeared in a strange manner. Remember my name, Hunya. My ancestor was one of those who had seriously injured Xiao back then, resulting in his death. Therefore, this time around, the person who will finish you off will likely be me. This is fate. You will not be able to escape it. Ha. A faint laugh was slowly emitted from the empty space after the three black-robed figures disappeared. Finally, it resounded over the entire place. It was a long time later before it slowly disappeared. Xiao was without expression. His gaze only withdrew from the spot where those three had disappeared after the laugh had scattered. After which, he walked toward the house without a single word, but no one saw the clenched fist under his sleeve. A fierce glint flashed within his dark black eyes. Hunya, since this is the case, the debt that your ancestor owed will be paid by you. The Goo realm possesses the tomb of ancestor Xiao. Hence, let this place become the place where you will be buried. The little fairy doctors group studied Xiao's back. Although Xiao was remaining quiet, they could sense a dense killing intent seeping from his body. Clearly, Hunya had really sparked the murderous desire in Xiao's heart. This fellow will regret it.